This will tell you what the inputs to the analog inputs are reading right now. Manual event control, again, you can turn things on and off. Shut down, we'll shut down this software. Now we can do a whole bunch of damage. Probe burn off setup. It'll burn off for 90 seconds. It'll wait for the probe to recover for 120 seconds. Every 12 hours, minimum millivolts, maximum temperature. And this will display the millivolts and the temperature, but we don't have anything hooked up to it right now. PID loop setup, if you want to play with the PIDs for the carbon loop and the temperature loop to tune the furnace. Recipe edit will let you write or edit a recipe.
So are we going to be loading all of these manually, all the recipes, or is there a way of us doing it all at once, like transferring from here? I know they're on different programs, right? So this is different. This is more like Android. That's like Apple, I think. That's what you're saying. That's on iOS or something.
It's just two different controllers, so they have to be input manually. I input the one that Sam gave me.
We have the video from that yesterday.
Okay, answering your question, yes.
Man.
If you have any load TCs, which right now you don't, trend chart edit, you can edit the trend chart. Communication setup, show you the IP address and how each slave port is configured. You really shouldn't have to touch it. Slave instrument setup. If you wanted to add another slave instrument, this is where you would do it.
So you're going to demonstrate how to put in a menu?
You did yesterday. We have a video for it.
Oh, do we? Okay, good. I have the laptop for you to do.
Again, these are things you won't ever have to touch. Furnace setup, it's all been configured. Default weight limits. When we go and we did the recipe yesterday and we had weight up or weight down.
Yeah.
That's the weight limit. So with if you pick weight, when the temperature gets within 15 degrees and the atmosphere gets within 0.1%, it'll move to the next step of the recipe. Now you can change that to 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, but if you hit weight up, it'll wait till you get to 1700 degrees and 1.15% carbon before it moves to the next step.
Well, I'd rather start a little earlier.
This would be good, yeah.
Starts at 16.
So that's where you can change that weight limit. Alarm setup. Alarms are already set up. Alarm 1 is 0.1% carbon off of the set point either way. You can change that limit here. PV1 value, because it's the first loop, and PV2 is the temperature, and then if you were controlling oil temperature with it, it would be PV3. So we've got that one set at 15 for the alarm for temperature. And this is a 1400 degree alarm that's in here. We're not using it because it's coming from here.
It'll go off if it goes below, right?
No,
And then it'll go back on if it goes back up.
it'll show up in the alarm banner as furnace above 1400 degrees.
Okay.
But we're not using it. I can disable it if you like, because we're using the 1400 degree alarm from this controller to control the gas. Thermocouple check. I've never used it. Relay assignments. We have 8 relays on the controller. This is what they're all assigned to. You don't want to change it. Loop 2 forward, that's heat. Plunge cool. Loop 1 reverse, that should be loop 1. Alright, I'll have to double check it. Analog input setup. Input 1 on the controller itself. Input 1 is the millivolts from the probe. Input 2 is the probe TC type. And input 3 is the furnace control TC type. Now I don't know if you have a probe with a KTC in it or not, but that's what it's set for right now. So if you put one with an S or a different...
Well, the probe is going to be an S type.
So then you just hit input type, hit edit, and then pick which one you want, and hit OK. Analog output setup. We've got it set up to control the air and the gas meter for dilution air and enriching gas. So that's loop 1 forward or increment, and loop 2 decrement. That'll turn on the air, the other one will turn on the gas. And again, it's already set up. Alarm polarity, normally opened or normally closed. So, if you have your alarm set at 800 degrees, will it alarm below 800 degrees or will it alarm higher? You can think of it as inverted, regular, normal, or inverted. You don't have a redundant TC set. We're not going to use the event holds. Security, level 1, level 2. Operator, this is what the operator can see. Supervisor, this is what you can pick. You can add or delete things. And then administrator, you have access to everything.
Is there a separate password for each one?
You can set it up that way. Right now the operator is no password and the administrator is number 2. Curve entry, we're not using any curves. We're not using alternate PIDs. We don't have an auxiliary analog input board. Calibration, you can mess with it, but
How can you calibrate?
call the office. The cold junctions and the inputs on the controller. And they'll have to walk you through that. I don't do calibration. Configuration, a bunch of stuff. Alarm text, event text. This one you can't get into because you need the super secret. You need this SSI super secret password that changes every day.
What is it, SSI?
No, it's a number and it changes every day. But there's no need to mess with screen communications, data logging setup, repair database, device configuration, recipe configuration. This is more of a screen for us. You don't have an analog input module. You don't have an auxiliary set point. You don't have a TC extension curve. Generic instrument setup is just for us. DF1 tuning assistant. The only one you might use down here is tuning assistant. Pick loop 2, that's heat, and hit start, and it will run the furnace at 100% for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and run it at 0%. And it'll run it at 100% and 0%, and it'll do that back and forth until it calculates how long it takes to heat up and cool down.
That's a cool feature.
And then it'll give you a bunch of PIDs down here that you can pick from.
That will help with timing too.
I always use the over dampened one, seems to work the best. That's under dampened, critically dampened, over dampened. I don't remember what that one is. But don't have any parts in the furnace when you do it.
Good idea. Good idea.
Any questions?
No, I think you're very good at explaining things. So.
You want to head over to the meters?